Hi everyone, it's the Rangers Review. Just me, Joshua Barrie, here to talk you through, or try and talk you through Dundee 3, Rangers 4. A very, very, very eventful game here at Dens Park. I'm just about the last one in the stadium, so I'm going to talk you through the game until we get kicked out to get your comments in, and we'll try and address as many of those as possible. The headline news, obviously, the Rangers were 2-0 down, 3-1 down, still managed to find a way to come back and win that game 4-3. Cyril Dessers scored at his 12th attempt on goal. We'll get on to him, of course, to earn the win in stoppage time. Barry Ferguson, I think it's fair to say, was not delighted post-match, speaking in his press conference, pretty critical of his side, while still obviously giving them some sort of praise for managing to find a way back into the game first and foremost, and then earn a result too. I'll read you what he had to say. He said it's a brilliant 3 points, but overall, certainly in the first half, we were miles off it. You can see in my face a lot of frustration. I saw so many old bad habits come in. I had to make a couple of changes at half time. I had to change the shape of the team from a 3 to a 4 to kickstart us. Second half was more like it, but we were giving away too many opportunities and easy goals. We were sloppy at times. I said to the team after it, there's a lot of work that needs to happen this week. We need to sit down, go through things and work hard on the training ground, because there were a lot of things I didn't like. Continuing, Ferguson said this has been labelled the team for a long time, but I think 5 or 6 weeks ago, Rangers come away with nothing. The Rangers team I have just now, my players, that's the side I've drilled into them, but we need to do a lot better with other things within the game in terms of how we approach it from the start. Right, let's try and tackle some of the talking points from that game, because there was plenty of them. Kevin Robb gets in touch first and foremost, saying, I get the feeling if Barrie and Co were not on the sidelines, the Killie game in this game would have been the usual head down loss. Yeah, I mean, Kevin's point there, this was quite reminiscent of that Kilmarnock game, in that Rangers went 2-0 down early. They conceded from a set piece. It wasn't quite the sort of overwhelming nature of that Kilmarnock defeat, where you really felt like it was totally one-way traffic. I think a lot of it was caused by loose passages of play on the ball. And ultimately, I think Rangers looked like a team in that first half. And listen, the early goal doesn't help this, but they looked like a team that were dominating the ball, yet playing with 3 centre-halves, 3 central midfielders and 2 full-backs at wing-back. As a result, their only real avenue forward was when Cyril Dessers managed to turn in behind. Hamza Gaman, I thought, linked actually the game pretty well. He gave the ball away a few times, but he could have had quite feasibly a hat-trick of assists if Dessers had found the target earlier on in the game. Dundee went 2-0 up with a really dreadful Jack Butland mistake, and it comes a couple of weeks on from the mistake he made against Motherwell. And at that point, when the game goes 3-1 and you're trying to write your analysis of the game, I was thinking Butland and Dessers really epitomise this Rangers team, because Dessers was, to quote Jose Mourinho, he said he played like the best player in the world away at Fenerbahce, yet couldn't finish for so much of this game. Jack Butland was brilliant in that penalty shootout against Fenerbahce at home, yet he has seemed to have this fragility creep into his game this season, and I thought his kicking was poor today. Whether the sun got in his eyes, whatever it may be, for that second Dundee goal where Joe Shaughnessy capitalises on Butland spilling the ball, it was just a really poor moment, and the type of moment that makes Rangers' task so much more difficult. They did, like that Kilmarnock game, find a way back into it. This time it wasn't a Václav Černý effort, who obviously wasn't in the squad. It was a James Tavernier sort of deflected cross. They took a free kick quickly, and that was important going into the second half. Dundee missed the best chance, I think, of the first half, and they did miss opportunities overall. And I think that's why Ferguson rightly was quite annoyed, because this wasn't a game where I think Dundee had a higher expected goals, and I think Rangers were, while you can compliment their mentality, I think they were quite fortuitous at points. And ultimately, they remain a moments team, and moments teams, it's hard to guarantee results. We'll talk about how they got back into the game in a second, but Scott Tiffany had a brilliant chance to make it 3-1 before he did, and then Dessers did have the ball in the back of the net, but VAR ruled it off. It chopped it off, for a marginal offside in the build-up. Then Tiffany does go up the other end and scores too easily, and it was a brilliant goal, but too easy from a Rangers perspective. Ferguson went to a 4-3-3 at the break. He brought Bailey Rice on, which I liked, but I thought that as a result of that, moving Nico Raskin out the number 6 position, Rangers just didn't really have the cover in transition. They kind of went from one extreme to the other. In the first half, they had so many bodies centrally and 3 midfielders with a kind of defensive edge, and then they kind of flipped it totally. What that did give them, though, was options and numbers up the top end of the park. And once it went 3-1, you thought there's not really going to be a way back into this. James Tavernier then hits a shot out of nothing from nowhere, seemingly, that goes into the back of the net. Rangers managed to sustain pressure around the Dundee box a bit better. And at this moment in time, I'm thinking, bring Oscar Cortez on, bring Danilo on, take Dessers off, because Dessers had missed, well, as I said at the top of the show, I think it was 12 shots. His 12th shot was his goal. But Ferguson, to his credit, kept Dessers on. Danilo came on, Chefty came on. The shape of the team kind of switched again. Then Tom Lawrence comes on again. I was probably thinking, is that the right sub? Do you not need a bit more width? But it's 2 unbelievable strikes to get Rangers back into the game. Now, the argument again would be they're not kind of controlling games and maybe creating high value chances, although Dessers did have his share on the day. But it's 2 moments that get them back into it. 3-3, and then you kind of just think, and there is this element, I think, to a Rangers team that Barry Ferguson has instilled, where there is evidently a bit more belief. And I agree with him. That comment I'll read again. This has been labelled at the team for a long time. I think 5 or 6 weeks ago, Rangers come away with nothing from that game. I think it's hard to disagree with that. And then injury time, again, Dundee really unlucky to not score a winner. Simon Murray goes through on goal, hits the near post as he's bearing down with Jack Butland. That leaves Rangers a space to themselves go up the other end of the pitch. And this time, Dessers, honestly, probably the hardest chance he'd had all day. But he found the back of the net with a pretty cute finish after out-muscling, I think it was Joe Shaughnessy. So, yeah, hopefully that just about sums up the 90 minutes. And in the end, Rangers get a win that matters not that much in the context of the league season, but still important for Barry Ferguson to get that. Only the 6th time Rangers have won at Dens Park since 2016. Let's get to some comments. Darren Johnson says that Rangers got away with one tonight. William not happy with Butland and says it was caused by Barron and Diamandi giving the ball away constantly. Scott as well says the Rangers need a new goalie. Not happy with Butland after that tonight. Graham says he thinks the change of shape did help. I agree, and I think that proactivity helps. You can maybe be critical of the first half shape. It's hard to judge anything when you concede inside 2 minutes because it totally changes the nature of the game. Scott not happy with Ridvan, whose final ball was poor again. Came off after about 60 minutes for Chefty. And I thought Chefty was okay. Give you a bit more natural width on that left-hand side. Scott, you'd think with 2 up front, it would suit Dessers. He had too many chances missed despite the winner. Definitely had too many chances missed today. Matthew says, I love the mentality. I hate the drama. John Montague, great 3 points, but we were awful. Neil McLean says, what a game. One of the games of the season. Well done to Dundee for at least trying to win the game. Big Dessers saves the day. And Null FC saying he's tired of not following the mentality. Too many performances that, quote, show character in the absence of performance. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll continue to pick the bones out of it next week. I'm going to wrap up here pretty quickly because as you can hear around me, there's not much activity. But Rangers do come back. They do find a way to win. I like that Barry Ferguson changed the shape proactively at the break. I like that he brought Bailey Rice on. Would still like to maybe see the likes of Oscar Cortez get a bit more game time. But the important thing for him tonight is that Rangers have found a way to win their action next against Hibs at home next week before the small matter of a quarter-final against Athletic Bilbao. Finally, I thought... Tommy there saying, do you think Diamandi was poor? I just don't think that number 10 role suits him, to be honest. Don't think he was great, but I think he's better deeper in the pitch when he can move on to the game. And I actually thought Igaman, I thought he had a good game. He gives the ball away quite a lot in that game. But for me, in that first half, he's the only one with the real kind of bravery or intention to do something. As I say, should have probably had 2 assists on another day. Creates that goal brilliantly for Dessers. It's offside. But yeah, a difficult game to analyse. Rangers get the 3 points in the end. We'll leave it there. We'll, of course, be live with you on Monday morning, and lots of coverage to come on the Rangers Review website tomorrow. Remember to subscribe to the website. Still £1 for 6 months, and you can be entered into that competition for a fantastic signed Paul Gascoigne shirt. All subscribers automatically entered into that as well. But until then, thanks for joining just me on this rare occasion. I'm going to get myself back down to Glasgow. Hopefully, we'll speak to you all on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until then, and bye for now.